Stop letting your anger, frustration, and anxiety get the best of you. When this happens, you're literally becoming non-lucid in the waking state. And if you're working on becoming lucid in the dream state and you're not being lucid in the waking state, how do you think this is going to happen? It's not. In this video, I'm going to give you 2 Tibetan techniques for dream work that you can use to become lucid, as well as to gain control when you experience overwhelming emotions. Go ahead and grab your pen and paper because you're definitely going to want to take notes. This video is a part of my 2023 series on dream work and lucid dreaming for self-care and personal development. It includes live workshops, tutorials just like this one, as well as guided practices. Go ahead and check the description box below for all of those good resources, and make sure that you grab the dream work and lucid dreaming workbook. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and get into the content. In both the waking state and the dreaming state, you have the opportunity to become lucid, to become aware of what's going on an intimate level, and not be caught up and swept away in your emotions or in your experiences or the action. This is what gives you the ability to be consciously in control. In the waking state, you can be asleep as well. You can be non-lucid. And this means being very reactionary towards your extreme emotions or extreme experiences. You get so close to the details that you don't get the opportunity to observe without responding and without reacting. This is the same thing that happens in the dreaming state when you are non-lucid. You're so close to the emotions and the details that you don't actually give yourself the opportunity to step back and to be present and to be mindful. So you're caught up and you're swept away in everything. Both of the techniques that I'm teaching you today are going to be outlined in the book, The Tibetan Yogas of Dream and Sleep by Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche. I do advise that if this information interests you, go ahead and pick up a copy of this book. I'm going to include a link to it in the description box below. First, let's talk about what actually happens in a lucid dream in relation to how you relate to the experience. In a lucid dream, you're aware that you're dreaming while you're dreaming. So if a monster comes up, or if you have an extreme situation, if you have extreme emotions, you know that it's a dream, so you don't become too entangled in everything. You don't take it that seriously. You take it as very dreamlike, very illusory. Just like a rainbow, it appears, but you can't grasp onto it. You can't take it with you. You don't allow this moment to ruin your day, or your dream in this case. Now, these tools from a psychological or self-care or personal development perspective do land better if you have had actual lucid experiences in the dream state. But even if not, you can still do these techniques and they will help you to become lucid. The first technique is called changing karmic traces. It shifts the way that you look at and experience the world around you. It loosens the grip that the world has on you, your emotions, and your reactions. This way, it gives you a bit of distance from things and you don't get immediately sucked into your experiences and become non-lucid or become very reactionary. You'll notice that the more real or serious you take things, the more tension it builds up in your mind and your body, the more non-lucid you become, and the more reactionary you get. For us, when we take something seriously, it typically means that you're going to respond impulsively, immediately, and without much consideration. This is the same thing that happens in the dream state when you're non-lucid. You're not aware that you're dreaming while you're dreaming. Instead of being in conscious control, your habits are taking the lead. Karmic traces are the seeds of those habitual reactions, and we're working on changing those. What you're gonna do is you're gonna look at everything that you perceive as dream-like or as a dream. I like to do this starting first thing in the morning. I have a dog. I take my dog for a walk. And so when there are not a lot of people around, when my mind is very fresh, it's easy to go out into the environment and see everything that I perceive, everything that I'm seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, or thinking about as dream-like. Typically, we think of experiences as external to us, as separate from us, and this is what can make them appear as very solid, permanent, lasting, and we take them as serious. An example I like to give is a red rose. Where is the red? From our perspective, it seems like the red is out there. But if you ask a bumblebee or if you ask a butterfly, what do they see? Their eyes are built different. Their brains are built different. Insects have the ability to see light on a wider range of the visible light spectrum than we do. They can see infrared, they can see ultraviolet. So when they may look at a rose, a red flower, they may perceive something that is very much different than what we perceive. And I also think about, what if someone is colorblind? What are they perceiving? And think about this. Inside of a dream, you see, but there are no actual physical eyes there. There's not even any actual physical light there. It becomes more apparent in a dream that everything you experience is in and of mind. This takes us back to how we respond and react to situations and experiences, especially when we perceive them as very external or separate from us. When we have those very negatively intense charged experiences that have a lot of emotion, we take them as separate from us, making them more serious, more permanent, solid, real, and lasting, and we typically respond to those immediately, impulsively, and without much consideration. Once again, this is being non-lucid. So this first exercise is to really examine everything that you perceive and to begin to loosen the hold of things that you perceive through your senses that they have on you. So anything that you experience through seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, go back to that example of the rose. When you see it, it seems very real. It seems like you actually know what's going on because it's separate from you. But some appearances just aren't so. And when you begin to incorporate this in a healthy way, it will allow you to not allow experiences that you perceive as negative, that you perceive as frustrating or making you angry. It will allow you to not be so consumed by them, and they won't be able to control you in such a way. The second activity is called removing grasping and aversion, or releasing grasping and aversion. Grasping is when you hold on to a situation, you take it very closely, you bring that energy everywhere you go, and we already know how that affects us. Aversion is pushing something away. Really, these are both the same thing, being very reactionary in one way or another to some sort of stimulus or some sort of experience, and both grasping and aversion come about by being non-lucid, whether that's non-lucid in the waking state or non-lucid in the dreaming state. In both grasping and aversion, we create this inappropriate relationship to these experiences, and it allows them to stick around in our bodies, to stick around in our minds, in our psyche, and you will begin to obsess over them, and they typically torment you and cause you a lot of suffering. The previous technique of changing karmic traces, you're learning to perceive experiences and phenomena as dreamlike. And this is very useful before something negative happens. It's very helpful before those stressful moments arise. It's easier to do that before something fearful or stressful or anxiety-making comes into the space of your awareness, causing you to become reactionary, non-lucid, or fall asleep. Once again, in those moments, you're not consciously aware, you're not lucid, and you're allowing your habitual reactions to take over. But in this activity of removing grasping and aversion, this is something that you're going to do in the moment. It really is an extension of the previous exercise, but in the moment when that experience arises, instead of labeling it as serious or taking it so seriously that you begin grasping onto it or you begin experiencing aversion, you can take a moment, take a deep breath, release it, and bring yourself into that present moment. Here, you have the ability to process that experience and make a proper decision. You can acknowledge how you feel and realize that this experience that you are perceiving is just like all of the other phenomena that you perceive. It's very dreamlike, it's very illusory. Not meaning that it doesn't arise, not meaning that it's not happening or that it's not appearing, but you're challenging the status of that appearance. It's not going to last forever. In just a few moments, it's going to become a memory. Just like a dream, a non-lucid dream. In the moment, it feels so real, but when you wake up, you realize, oh my goodness, it was a dream. Everything that I perceived, my dream body, that dream environment, that dream situation, now it's just a memory, just like a rainbow. Yes, the rainbow appears, but it is very much illusory. To further illustrate this, think about your experience of yesterday from the perspective of today. Yesterday you were eating food, the food was good, you were sitting down on a surface, it felt so solid, you were wearing clothes, you were talking to people, you had a full-blown experience. But today, those experiences are very illusory, they're very dreamlike. Now they are just memories. So if you're able to perceive that, you can, in the moment, take your experience of today and think about it from the perspective of tomorrow. An argument or some frustrating or negative experience that you're having today, tomorrow is going to feel very dreamlike. It's going to feel very illusory. So if you can hold on to that thought process, if you can hold on to that realization, it will allow you to activate that in the moment and to become lucid in that moment, making you less reactionary. It will give you the opportunity to actually take a pause and decide the appropriate way to respond to your experience, where you can produce harmony and harmonious conditions in your life. Both of these tools, when used properly and when related to in a healthy way, will allow you to create more peace and harmony in your life. In the moment when you're experiencing some negative emotion, instead of allowing it to completely overcome you, to completely overtake you, ruin your day and ruin your moment, you're able to become aware of it, to acknowledge it, and to release it. It no longer has control over you. You are no longer falling asleep or becoming non-lucid in those waking, frustrating experiences. You're able to be lucid in those experiences. This habit will trickle over into your dreaming state. So in the dreaming state, when you experience negative, intense emotions, instead of being swept up and caught up in those experiences and the phenomena, with enough practice, just like you paused in the waking state, you'll pause in the dreaming state and you'll be able to become lucid, become more present, become more aware. If you've enjoyed this content and information, let me give you a few more resources to help you out, especially if you are in the process of learning to become conscious or lucid in the dream state, or if you're trying to improve your dream recall. Number one is to go ahead and grab the Dream Work and Lucid Dreaming for Self-Care and Personal Development Workbook Bundle. It includes 2 workbooks. We're currently working from the first one in my live series. It contains more than 30 pages of content, activities, exercises, information on how your dreams work, how to remember your dreams, how to become lucid in your dreams. It contains tips on dream interpretation and how to set up a dream practice. Number 2 is you definitely want to check out the Intro to Dream Work workshop. This is the first workshop that I did in the 2023 series, and we go through tons of information so that you can learn about the different states of dreaming and figure out how you want to approach your personal dream work practice. And I will include both of those links in the description box below. And if you're working on improving your dream recall, I've created a guided meditation that you can use before bed as you're falling asleep to help program your mind to remember your dreams easily, naturally, and harmoniously, and with vivid, clear detail. Once again, I'm going to include all of those links in the description box below. If you have any questions, comments, or experiences, go ahead and drop those in the comment section and I'll make sure to respond so that you get the information that you need. And in the meantime, here are 2 more videos that YouTube thinks that you will enjoy.